Hello, I'm your host Jim McClean. Welcome back to another episode of the BanterFlix movie review show here on NvTv. Let's see what movies we'll be talking about tonight. We'll be reviewing Conclave and Moana 2, which are both out in cinemas now. Our pick of the streams is Kneecap on Amazon Prime. We'll be chatting with director Airell Anthony Hayles about his Christmas chiller Advent, which is out in VOD platforms. And since it's December, we'll wrap up with our festive choice, Netflix's Hot Frosty. So that's what we've lined up for you this week. Joining me here in the studio in Belfast is Brian Muholland.
Hello, Jim.
And Johanna Leech.
Hello.
Hello to you both. As always, every Friday we have a packed show, so let's move on and talk about some movie news.
This creature is a force more powerful than evil. Its desire is to consume all life on Earth. Only you can redeem us.
So that's a look at the trailer for Robert Eggers' latest feature, Nosferatu. The reviews are out. We're going to have to wait. Us mere plebs are going to have to wait a little bit to the start of next year before we can see the film. But the early consensus from critics is pretty positive. So, as you know, we're horror fans here at BanterFlix, so it's going to be interesting to see what you guys think. I'll start with you, Johanna. Just before we started to record, you were telling me how much you love Terrifier 3 this year. So I'm guessing different class of horror, different style of horror, but are you excited for this?
Yeah, my inner goth girl is just really excited with the cast, and I just love a big moody movie. I mean, you know, like I listen to sad post-rock music. You know, I'm always going to have that teenager inside of me as a 40-year-old. So yeah, it's right up my street.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. Looks stylish, you know, the trailer. Classic Robert Eggers. I mean, we're no stranger to him here in Northern Ireland after The Northman, so good to see that he's still hanging on in there in the industry. Brian, you know, filmmaker amongst us, you excited by this?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I don't think there's many more visually stunning directors working at the minute, you know. The trailer looks immense. Right up my street. Again, like yourself, I'm a golf girl at heart too, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be probably different than a lot of horror, modern horror at the minute, so a little bit of throwback to the classic horror cinema, so can't wait.
Yeah, Brian Muholland, you embrace that inner goth girl inside you. And yeah, we are going to have to wait. We know that trailer marketing men and women, they sell their soul to make us want to see something. But yeah, I really want to see this, but we're going to have to wait until early next year. But we will move on. And Johanna, since we have you on the show, I don't think we've had you actually on the show for quite some time. The last time we had you on the show, the Strand was open it's the heart of East Belfast. You are temporarily closed. You are at temporary accommodation at the Conswater. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Strand and even some of the events, just in case there are people watching who think that you're closed and not open for business. That's very much not the case.
Yeah, we're based in Conswater, and we've kind of made a pop-up kind of community space so people can hire that. And then we're also doing our silver screenings on Thursdays, classic movies, which is always like our bread and butter. Absolutely fantastic to have that as such an important community event for all ages, but mainly for seniors. And then our free kids film club on Saturdays, which is giving kids a chance to see a film they might not usually watch, and it being free is great. There's always a chance to like test out the arts. We've got workshops as well, which is always teamed up with the film. But we're getting out and about too. We're doing live events and music gigs and theatre in different spaces. But the thing we're really looking forward to is It's a Wonderful Life at the Transport Museum. Unfortunately, a lot of the Polar Express tickets are already gone, but there's some tickets left for It's a Wonderful Life. So we're doing everything from small to little, and it's just a space that we can work from, but everyone can drop in and see how we are. They can ask how the refurb is going, and yeah, you know, hopefully soon we'll start to see things changing with the building too.
Fantastic. And great news as well about the screenings of Polar Express and It's a Wonderful Life. Two great films. Brian, I know since we have you on the show, The last Film Devour Film Festival, I think, was in July earlier this year. Yeah. So any word on when any of the budding filmmakers out there, or just people who love cinema here in Belfast, might be seeing another event at the Black Box?
Yeah, well, we tried to squeeze another one in before the end of the year, but alas, no. But the content is there and people are asking, like yourself, for supporting it and stuff. So we hope to do one early next year, hopefully late January, February, but no date confirmed as yet. So basically just keep an eye on our socials. But yeah, the content is there and the desire to show local films is, so we will return.
Keep an eye on those socials. So with that, those are events that are up and coming. I think we'll move on and talk about some movies we've all seen.
The Pope is dead. The throne is vacant.
The Conclave begins now. We're about to choose the most famous man in the world.
And 1.25 billion souls watching.
Let's say this is a pretty fair vision of hell. Well, don't be blasphemous, Ray. Hell arrives tomorrow when we bring in the Cardinals.
So that's a look at Conclave, out in cinemas now. Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, the Vatican. What's not to like? Now, Johanna, you haven't seen Conclave. You're going to be talking about Moana 2 for us. So, Brian, I'm going to come to you then. Has Johanna dodged a bullet? Has she had a... Well, we don't know what she thinks of Moana 2 just yet. But what's your thoughts on this? The latest feature from Edward Berger, award-winning filmmaker behind the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front. What do you think of Conclave?
I really, really enjoyed it. It's a very, very smart film. As you've mentioned some of the cast there. The cast is amazing. It looks stunning. Kind of like, I would say, West Wing in the Vatican. I'm having to be careful about what I say because there's a lot of spoilers. There's something major that happens in it, but yeah, you just drink it in. It's beautiful. That the costumes, the set design, the acting, the directing I loved his last film. He's a really, really good filmmaker as well. So, but Ralph Fiennes he's definitely up for awards for this performance. It's just, he carries the whole weight of the movie on his face, I think, you know. But yeah, the whole politics of the Vatican and stuff is not something that I would usually, that anyone would really go for. That's my cup of tea. But yeah, it's such it's a lush film. If you love performance, if you love great acting, yeah, go and see this. It's stellar. It's
very much like the antithesis of something like Angels and Demons.
Yes.
And as much as I have a soft spot for films like that, and you know, bombs being exploded above the Vatican, and Ewan McGregor somehow trying to do a Northern Irish accent, I have a soft spot for those films. But this is not this. And I think the analogy of kind of referencing West Wing is right, because it's very much about conversations in corners of rooms, the camera just stepping back and, as I say, just letting actors do a thing. I enjoyed it. It probably will not be for everyone. I would say that if you are someone who loves Angels and Demons, this might not be for you. But I enjoyed it. Johanna, you didn't see this. You got a chance to review Moana 2 because we couldn't decide which film. We talked about this last week. We didn't know which way to go. You've seen Moana 2, as have I. So before we hear your thoughts on that, let's play a little clip of the film.
It's my job as a wayfinder to finish what they started.
Moana, show our people just how far we'll go.
So let's look at Moana 2. Johanna, I don't know if you're feeling disappointed. You maybe missed out from hearing Brian and I talk about Conclave. What's your thoughts on Moana 2?
I think it's one of the things, if you're a Moana fan, you're gonna love it. But I find this one quite dark. But I guess it's kind of like a time where she's kind of coming of age as well. And we all have dark periods in life, and especially whenever it's coming, the older you get as well. So I kind of felt that a bit. I felt like the whole thing was a bit rushed though. You did introduce new characters. You do go on a massive voyage and adventure, but I kind of felt like it was quite rushed and squashed in, if you know what I mean.
Moana 2 exists because of the success of the first film, not at the box office, but on streamers. was originally going to be a series. They retooled it, decided to have it as a film, and I agree with you. I do think that it's condensed. There's an awful lot going in, but I think in its heart, there's enough there. I don't think it's as maybe quite reaches the levels of the first one. I think there's enough there that I think it's a better sequel to say the Frozen 2 was to Frozen. I think there's more there. I know we're going to get Frozen 3. Probably we're going to get Moana 3. I don't know. Brian, I know you haven't seen this, but I know you have a younger viewer back at home and a young film critic as well, little Corey. I don't know if he's going to be watching this evening, but is he a Moana fan? Are you tempted to go out to the cinema to see this?
Yeah, it's one of the ones that there's a lot on offer for kids at this time of year. So obviously Paddington and this, and then he's really eagerly awaiting Sonic 3. He's all about Sonic 3. We've seen the first one. Interestingly, I think he's quite not over it, but when you put a Disney playlist on and stuff, and the You're Welcome song comes on, he'll flick past it. He's heard it. The 1,000,001 time was enough for him, you know. So I don't know. He'd go to the cinema to see anything. I absolutely could take him to see that. So I don't know. You can tell me if the songs are any better or as good in this one, because that'd be a big draw for him, you know, the rock singing and stuff. But
well, Brad, maybe yourself and Corey might get to the cinema to see Moana 2 sometime over December. And I know, Johanna, you were particularly pleased to see one character in particular getting a bit more screen time this time round.
I was very happy that there was more of the pig, Pua. I am one of those type of people. It's like I love a cute plushie. Everyone loves Baby Yoda. I think when the Pua was in the first film, and they just went off without Pua, and I was like, this is sad. And then at the end, you only briefly see them. I think that's something as well that you were saying, like the cult status of Moana, that then, you know, everyone wanted to see the merch and the plushies of Pua. So for him to actually go along in the adventure was great to see.
Yeah, producers are going to love that because it means they can sell more merch. That's why. But look, we will hold off on the Pua talk just for now, and let's move on to something completely different. Those are two films that are in cinemas now. We'll move on to something we can all watch at home.
Three of us have become rappers.
You might know the words, but you don't understand the language.
There's one real for horse from Kyo.
Just go studio again.
What?
Because rent beats.
Can you like? Well, you hear Abbey Roadie? Abbey what? Arbor Showboys and Roland 808. You honestly are going to be yes, real like for Kyoto if we like grammar. When she's blast us, been the diary, seeing hip hop. Good John and your. Do I look like I want to read subtitles?
So that's a look at Kneecap. It's available now on Amazon Prime. Everybody earlier this year, well, here in Belfast, I think, was talking about this film. Huge success at the Galway Film Festival. It's screened throughout the world. Now it's available on Amazon Prime. A semi-fictionalized version of the band's genesis and their rise to local stardom, and now I guess international stardom. Our Irish language rap group. I know they've been in the news recently, but we'll leave that kind of stuff to Slugger O'Toole in terms of their dealings with art grants for the government. But Brian, I'm going to come to you first. So did you see this for the first time on streaming, or did you see this in the cinema early this year?
I unfortunately missed this in the cinema, so I seen it for the first time this week on the streaming platforms. So I once I seen the trailer, I'm like, this is right up my street. And a lot of friends were recommending it to me, and I thought, well, it can't be as good as they're saying, you know. But I was blown away by it. I thought it was incredible. I thought it was like I got a real 8 Mile vibe from it. You know, this kind of using music, and like this is a reference. Slade in Flames. Have you ever seen that movie? Where it's a band that is popular and basically doing a fictionalized origin of their fame, basically. I thought it was great. It was great. The cast were so good for I mean, they are performers, obviously, but for Kneecap to never have acted before, I presume, other than music videos, to be so good, because a lot of the emotional weight is on their shoulders. I thought the relationships with the father and the mother, particularly, were really, really good. And that's why it's a little bit better than what you would expect. It's the script as well. It's those other things that have gone on for it. I think people not from here would still like it and enjoy it. You know, it don't have to be Irish or Northern Irish to get it, because it's so well made. And again, that's down to the writing, directing, and I had shot in the cast. You know, I really, really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see it again. I can imagine revisiting it a lot.
It is well worth a watch. For me, it reminded me a lot of the energy of early Danny Boyle. In that sense, like the train spot and the energy that they bring to the film. My lovely wife and I watched it. I didn't expect her to enjoy it. She has actually been listening to a bit of Kneecap since. So there you go. If anything, if they're watching, they can take heart in the fact that my lovely wife is now listening to Kneecap on her headphones while she is at work. Johanna, what about you? Did you see this in the cinema, or did you see this on streaming, where it's now available on Amazon Prime?
I saw it streaming. Yeah, I just think they're poking fun at everything. Like, they're not holding it back for anyone. It's like, you know, everybody's fair game in this, and that's something that I kind of wanted to get across, that it, you know, people are kind of going, you know, is it going to be kind of a bit one-sided, or is it going to be kind of pushing an agenda? You just have to just go with it, and you'll enjoy the ride. Because there's a few times where I was like, oh, this is happening, and then I was like, oh, and it's happening, oh, it's still happening, and you just have to go with it. And I just like laughed. I'm really relaxed at home and just kind of chilled out and went, you know, this is a lovely journey. It's absolutely beautiful. The guys are fantastic. And yeah, actually, I found Michael Fassbender a bit dry in it. I kind of thought, you know, he just has one expression the whole way through, but maybe that's just me. Maybe it's because everyone else was just, yeah, there was just an element of fun, which I think is a real Irish thing, a real Northern Irish thing that comes across, is that we're all up for a laugh, and these guys are definitely doing it and getting out to the rest of the world that, you know, that's the way we are, and I thought that was really beautiful.
Yeah, and look, I'll not even take umbrage with the fact that this slight dish of Mr. Fassbender, I think he's an interesting choice to cast him in this film, because obviously with the role that he's playing, it does bring comparisons, I guess, to Hunger, where he played Bobby Sands in that sense, but different role altogether. I have to put my hands up at that point.
But they address that.
Yeah, they do.
They mention that, you know, and things like that. Sorry, because I didn't say and how important it is for the Irish language. And, you know, and it feels like there's so many things where you're like, oh, we're promoting the Irish language. It was just there, and it was just normal, and I thought that was really, really important, and it wasn't like making a point of itself as well. Yeah,
without a doubt. And as we always said, I mean, whether it's world cinema or Irish language cinema, never let yourself get put off by the inch-high barrier of subtitles if you need them. But look, we are going to move on, and I feel at this stage, viewers, I should address the elephant in the room. You will see watching here that, as always, every year around December time, we've spared no expense. Our Christmas tree is here. We have our Christmas tree behind us. The lights are not switched on. Apologies, Brad. I know you have to wipe away a tear. You don't get to see the lights switched on tonight. We have our special guest. They're just not quite ready yet. So we're going to have to keep and withhold the festive joy for just another week. So next week, the Christmas. Apologies, Joanna. Apologies, Brian. We will get the lights switched on. I promise we are not Scrooges. There will be festive joy here at NvTv in 2024. And on that festive note, we will move on. And earlier this week, I got a chance to speak to filmmaker Airell Anthony Hayles about his festive-themed chiller Advent. It's available now on VOD platforms. And here's that interview.
Hayley needed to believe in something again, to get behind something bigger than that one event which had come to define her entire life.
Merry Christmas, Mom.
And the Krampus Challenge became that thing.
Special episode today as we pick up what may be an actual Krampus Advent calendar.
Merry Christmas.
There are these Advent calendars that are evil.
What is this?
Behind the doors are challenges, and if you do one each day in the build-up to Christmas,
I think we should stop all of this right now.
on Christmas morning, the devil will take your soul.
So that's a clip of the trailer for Advent, and I'm joined now by the film's writer, director and producer, Airell Anthony Hayles. Airell, hello, how are you? Pleasure to have you on our podcast and the television show. Having watched the film, it's quite a traditional Christmas story. We always think of Christmas as presents and Santa, but it's a time for ghost stories. Charles Dickens kind of mastered that kind of nick.
Those things that you mentioned, I love the ghost stories for Christmas that came out ages ago. You know, BBC ghost stories for Christmas were all fantastic. And I wanted to do something like that, yeah, a modern kind of updated film that has all the trappings of a ghost story. And as you say, Nicholas Vince of Hellraiser fame, the amazing voiced Nicholas Vince, as our narrator sat in that armchair by a fireplace, it is very much a kind of unfolding of a Christmas narrative ghost story. And then we kind of tie it into the Advent calendar, which is all the trappings of, although while doing this, I found out that in America, they don't have Advent calendars quite so much. They call them holiday calendars, and they kind of have them. But I had to put a thing at the beginning of the film describing what an Advent calendar was. You know, I love Ghostwatch. It's one of my absolute favorite. 1992 scared the living hell out of me as a kid. And anything like that, I'm always trying to replicate that feeling of something extraordinary going on in a very ordinary house. If you're doing a ghost story or haunted house film, often in films like The Innocents and The Haunting, it's this big castle. And I love those films, but I think it kind of protects you a little bit because it feels like it's happening somewhere else. But when I saw Ghostwatch, it felt like it could have been my house. So it got really scary to watch that.
You've got a limited budget, so talk me through the trials and challenges of bringing Advent to the big screen. Absolutely.
I think the thing with kind of hybrid found footage, faux documentary, is you can get away with murder. Literally, potentially, things may happen that well, we don't know the reality of some things that happen in this film, but because it is kind of subjective at a certain level. But anyway, getting away from that, the whole fun of Paranormal Activity for me was when she stood by the bed watching her boyfriend sleep, and it was so creepy, and it cost no money. It was just a scary idea that your partner in the middle of the night, without you knowing it, could be doing that. That would be terrifying. And so I wanted to explore creepy things that get under your skin a little bit. So when you're dealing with lower budget, you kind of look at ghost stories sometimes, which happens to be my favorite genre, so it's a bonus, as how can you build dread up and creep people out without loads of blood here, because that's more things like Terrifier 3, and just with psychology and that fear of the dark, the uncanny, the Freud stuff, when you're lying in bed as an adult and suddenly you feel like a 5-year-old again. And I think these movies bring you right back to being 5 years old in bed, being terrified.
What next? Because I was looking at your IMDb page. Yeah. You're a busy boy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I think the ones I'm really excited about are, there's a wedding thriller called Black Wedding. I loved those mid-90s things like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Pacific Heights, Sleeping with the Enemy. The other brilliant one is Single White Female. And we seem to have lost those movies, or they appear on... there's a kind of cut rate version of them on a specific channel. I can't remember which one it is, but they're a little bit like I like the classiness of those mid-90s ones. Obviously very big budget, and you've got to get a bit of money to do that, but there's one of those that I really want to do called Black Wedding. So that's the next one we're going to try and push quite hard.
Airell, it's been an absolute joy to talk to you about the film. Yes, we're talking about a creepy Krampus-esque Advent calendar. My mum just goes to Marks and Spencer's and gets mine. Hopefully she won't turn up with a Krampus-esque one, because I will know not to try those challenges, and hopefully our paths shall cross again.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
So that's my interview with Airell Anthony Hayles. Advent available now on VOD platforms, and we'll move on but stick to the Christmas theme with this week's festive choice.
Clearly, you've been doing your push-ups.
You know what? You keep it.
You're stuck in there pretty bad. You want me to get behind you and push? Huh? It feels amazing.
Excuse me, can I help you? This is Jack.
I was a snowman.
That's not good. The coveralls and the boots, did you steal them?
Yes. Man went streaking in front of poor Ethel Jennings. Hi there.
So, Johanna, you've seen this. Here we have Gretchen Wiener from Mean Girls fame, Lacey Chabert, who last year, of course, we talked about in Christmas at Castle Hart, and you've got that to look back to in the previous episodes. But she's a widower. She's struggling to find love. She finds a magic scarf and somehow manages to fall in love with a snowman. He turns into a hot hunka who's a snowman, but he's hot. Johanna, what do you think of this film?
Hot Frosty. It's a beautiful thing. I have to say, I did sit down and I just thought, this is just wonderfully uneventful. You know, it's nothing really happens. It's just happening and you're just watching and it just keeps going. Yeah, it's one of those things where it probably could go on to like a Christmas movie channel very easily. I just thought it's something I could sit down and enjoy, and I didn't switch it off and I didn't get annoyed. But yeah, it was just kind of like you're just there for the ride. Hot Frosty happens, and you could probably come off with half the script yourself because it feels like it's been regurgitated from many other films. And I think I was just a bit disappointed that the comedic side of things didn't really come out of it with some of the cast that you had there. I thought the cops were like a perfect excuse for kind of having a bit more laughs, and at the end they do really, good outtakes. And I was like, why was there not more of that throughout the film?
You stuck around for the outtakes, Johanna.
It's worth it.
The key thing I want to come back to, you talked about there, just to pull on that thread, did you enjoy it though?
Yes, I did. I sat and watched it, and I thought if I had a hot chocolate sitting at home and I was curled up with a blanket with the dog, yeah, why not?
I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. It was fine, perfectly serviceable. It's weird, and I know we were pushed for time, and Brian is busting to talk about this film. He came in with his Hot Frosty t-shirt, everything on. We asked him to change just before he came in. But it's interesting that Netflix is now moving in on this territory of what we think of like the Hallmark area of these cheesy Christmas movies. And it's the reason, ultimately, is it gets viewers. People watch it. I know 3 of us here have watched us. Some of us, possibly including myself, have watched it twice this week because I watched it not only with my lovely wife, but I watched it with my mum. And both times I sat there and went, this is fine. I wish I was having more fun. Maybe I needed, like you, Joanna, maybe I needed a cup of hot cocoa. I don't know. But Brian, as I say, you were very excited to talk about this.
Was I? Yeah. Okay. I'm very excited about this movie that is instantly forgettable. I'd be more in your camp, to be honest. It's fine. We put it on, myself and the wife, and it starts all Christmassy and it looks great, and you're like, oh, this is going to be lovely. This is just what the doctor ordered, and then it just happens, and then it's over. It's absurd in places. Characters doing things because the script needs them to, but then not doing things because the script needs them to. I thought the cast were Hallmark at best, mostly, and there's a few actors in it that I thought. Lauren Holly was in Dragon of Bruce Lee's story. She played Linda Lee, so I'm like, oh, I haven't seen her in ages. And it's 2 scenes, it's gone, One of the biggest bugbears about it was the name, though. It's called Hot Frosty, and I don't know why. When he comes human form, and he does look like he definitely has a Pure Gem membership. Other gems are available. I'm like, why is it not called Jacked Frost? There's your title, not Hot and Frosty, Jacked Frost.
Well, Brian, you're a filmmaker. Maybe we watch this space next year, 2025. We'll be talking about that. Look, that is us pretty much out of time. So all that is left for me to say is thank my 2 guests here in the studio. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, Jim. A pleasure.
Thank you very much, Johanna.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks very much for watching at home. We'll be back next week with another episode, and I assure you, our Christmas lights will be switched on. But for now, until then, goodbye.